Welcome to the Reality Creation Podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Beam. In the first podcast, you learned how energy works, and you know that to create the life you want to become a vibrational match for that reality. So what we're going to do in podcast number 2 is I'm going to play you a clip from my Universal Law School course. And this is from lesson 1 of Universal Law School, and it is a lesson on the law of assumption. So this universal law is going to help you to move into the frequency where the life you want exists. And so for those of you guys who don't know, universal laws are basically kind of the way the universe is naturally working when we're not getting in the way. You know, before we have our trainings and our conditioning and our patterns and our thoughts and our beliefs and our judgments and our emotions and all the things that we program ourselves with, when we are just in complete connection with the universal laws kind of govern how things are naturally working. And so the law of assumption is just one of those universal laws that can help you to create the life you want while you're here in a human body. So I hope you enjoy this lesson on the law of assumption.
All right. The law of assumption builds on these other principles because it states that you can always achieve any aim you set for yourself so long as you assume and maintain the feeling of your aim. So I'll say that again. You can always achieve any aim you set for yourself so long as you assume and maintain the feeling of your aim. So it's one thing to generate a vibration and then to hold on to it so you can attract what you want and repel what you don't want. But in order to truly sustain a vibration for a long enough period of time to actually see change in your life, you must permanently assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and assume a permanent reaction to this reality being here now. And again, I'll post these slides to your member area, but if you're taking notes, what you'll write down is the law of assumption teaches us that the way to create anything you desire is to simply assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And so to be effective, your assumption of the wish fulfilled isn't an isolated moment. It must be a maintained attitude in every moment. And this is what separates the successful reality creators from the rest. A sustained assumption of the new reality here and now. From your assumption of the wish fulfilled, you're going to be acting and making decisions and executing plans from an entirely different energy. So you're acting from the version of you that already has it. And this is going to make your actions more fruitful. In any area of your life, your actions are always going to lead you to results that mirror the vibration you're holding now. So when you assume and maintain the feeling of your desired reality, you'll be guided to taking the action steps that actually work to get you to that reality that you've assumed, right? Instead of just taking actions that don't end up working and keep you at the old vibration. Okay. And so most people fail to successfully manifest because they don't maintain the feeling of their aim long enough for it to actually appear before them. They don't persist in it. Instead, they allow the physical material world to convince them that it's not realistic or possible for them. A lot of times there's been, an entire lifetime of feedback about that, right? There's been an entire lifetime of feedback that it's not possible or that it's not going to happen for you or this is the way it is. And people keep thinking that that feedback has something to do with right now, and it doesn't. I will never forget one of my earliest healers that I worked with. She said something to me along the lines of, um, what happened before isn't evidence of what will happen in the future. And it just made me realize like, oh, right. You can't, it really isn't evidence. The only reason we use it is because that's the reality we've bought into, right? So as you begin to align with the law of assumption and assume the new reality to be here right now, you must decide right now to only allow your preferred experience of the world to influence the assumptions you hold about yourself and about your reality. When I work with my private clients, we activate this law by remembering to always hold a reaction to the reality you want to see. So stop buying into the 3D evidence around you. That's just a manifestation of yesterday's assumption. When you hold a reaction to the undesirable 3D reality that you might be observing around you, when you're reacting to what you don't want to see, or you're reacting to something that proves to you that something isn't possible, when you react to all that, you're assuming that undesired reality and you're making yourself a vibrational match for more of it. So you're always going to attract that same old reality when you're under the assumption that that is what is here. So creating a big shift in your life requires a little bit of mental discipline at first. You have to continue to assume the new preferred reality, even when it appears that something is in your way. You got to kind of paste the preferred vibration and assumption over all the junk and doubts. And like I said, that takes a little bit of mental discipline at first, but you get used to it and then it starts to just become your way of being. You're only going to be able to manifest the aim that you've chosen for yourself when you can maintain the reaction to the new reality. We maintain the feeling and assumption of it being here now, despite all evidence to the contrary. So to really understand the law of assumption is to know that you must be in order to do, right? Deny the evidence of the senses and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled completely. Since your assumption creates an atmosphere, um, your assumption, if it's noble, will increase your certainty, right? You create certainty in your atmosphere, you create certainty in your field, which thereby aligns you with this reality vibrationally. And if your assumption is negative or unkind, right? Like maybe you're assuming something horrible happens to someone. If your assumption is negative or unkind, it creates hard and bitter feelings inside of you, which create a hard and bitter atmosphere. So make your assumptions the highest, most noble assumptions, creating the highest and best outcomes for yourself and for other people. A really great book about the law of assumption is called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And in this book, The Power of Awareness, he tells us you win by assumption what you could never win by force. So I'll say that again because it's important. You win by assumption, or you gain by assumption what you can never win by force, what you can never gain by force. So living your life in an extended state of an assumption of the new reality will help you to create things and manifest realities that you may not ever be able to achieve by trying to make those things happen by force or by using the laws of the material world. In that book, The Power of Awareness, he tells a story about a soldier in an army camp who was really eager to get out of the army, but only in an honorable way. And the only way he could do it was to get discharged, but his application was denied. And so, with no ability to appeal to any higher authority, he relied on the law of assumption. And every night he would get into bed and he would use the time before falling asleep and he would just feel himself at home in his bed in New York City. He would, he's laying there sleeping and he would visualize his apartment. He felt the comfort of his own blanket. He mentally pictured all of his furniture and his photos all around him. He assumed the reality of being home, which was a different reality from laying in his army cot, right? So he vividly imagined looking out his window, seeing all of the familiar buildings and streets, and then, pictured himself getting back into the New York City bed. And all of this was based on the assumption that he was no longer in the army. And so he did this 8 nights in a row. And even though his objective reality was different from the subjective experience in consciousness each night, he still generated this an assumption. And so on the 9th day, orders came through for the soldier to fill out a new application for discharge. And despite his colonel's objections, his application was approved and he went home. And notice that he didn't try to create how he would get home, right? He wasn't trying to picture the specific ways or circumstances that would make him get home. He just assumed himself to be home. It's important to remember you have infinite free will in choosing your assumptions, but you have no power to determine the conditions and the events, right? I'll say that again. You have infinite free will in choosing your assumptions, but you have no power to determine the conditions and events. So I see this a lot. People try to create the circumstances, right? They just go, they say, okay, let's say that the true desire is they need to make $10,000 right now. They start to try to assume the different circumstances that could deliver that to them rather than just assuming the energy of the $10,000, right? I see it all the time. What you want to do is you want to just go straight into assuming your true desire because that opens up the possibilities. You're going to get that, and you just want to stay open to all of the different circumstances. So you have infinite free will in choosing your assumptions, but no power to determine the conditions and events. So your assumption is what the world around you is reacting to. Your assumption of the wish fulfilled is the vibration that your guides, your angels, the universe, God is in reaction to, in matching you up to a vibrationally resonant reality. And I do this all the time personally, even when it's something tiny. For instance, a while back, people always ask, like, "Oh, I lost my keys. Can you tell me psychically where they're at?" And I used to just not be able to do it. But I figured out, one time I was looking for my screwdriver and it wasn't in the place that it would normally be stored, right? I knew I had it. I knew it was in my home, but I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. Like, I knew for a fact that I never took it outside of my home. So I was like, it is here, but I can't find it. And so finally, I just kind of stopped. I did the thing where I try to psychically see where it's at and I couldn't. And so I stopped and I assumed the feeling that I had found it, right? I let my whole body just go into relief and excitement, and out loud, I was like, "Oh, there it is. I found it." Right? Like, you go into that energy of, "Oh, there it is. I found it." And I've done this. I've been in a room with other people who were looking for something that was lost, and I would assume the reality where I was hearing them say, "Oh, there it is." Right? So I assume the reality of having it found. Um, and when I did this with the screwdriver, I was immediately, like 3 seconds, guided to look in the spot where it was. It was in a box of Swiffer dusters. Like, what? Right? Like, why would a screwdriver be in a box of Swiffer dusters? Right? But because, I wasn't trying to see where it was because I couldn't have. But by assuming there, I assumed the state of consciousness that I would be in when I already found the screwdriver. And I always do, like I said, I always do this for a lot of little things and it works really quickly. Another kind of larger example for using the law of assumption is if you are sick or if you have a disease, you will move into the consciousness of being healed when you assume the healed reality where you have full health and vitality. So rather than focusing rather than focusing on trying to figure out or trying to manifest the processes that are going to work to heal you, just assume the reality of being healthy. Again, you have infinite free will to choose your assumptions, but no control over the conditions and circumstances that bring your reality into those assumptions. The conditions and circumstances that will get you healthy will come through and they'll come into your awareness once you have assumed the reality of being healthy, right? Because sometimes when you try to create the conditions and the circumstances, or you try to get healthy from an assumption of being sick, it's like, I'm sick, but I need to be healthy. You're still in the vibration of I am sick. You're assuming the sick reality. Then what happens is that you'll be guided to a lot of stuff that won't work, and you might stay sick. So even when, or especially when, you're in a situation that you can't control, the law of assumption is how you shift your reality and your circumstances in situations. It's stronger than the people who are using force to create the reality. And it works to create your personal environment as well as assisting with global shifts. So, do you ever notice that when you're focusing on something upsetting, maybe politics, for instance, or a certain virus that's been going around, um, you ever notice that when you're focusing on that something upsetting, you start to see more of it and more of it and then more of it, right? That's the momentum of the law of assumption. You've assumed the reality even when you don't necessarily want it. You're reacting to the reality that it is here. You're assuming that reality. So it keeps showing up. And so to see something else, something favorable, you simply have to assume a new reality. Assume the vibration of what that new reality looks when you are in your body, right? So let's say you want to fix something that's global. You're not, the best thing you can do is just imagine what it would be like for you, right? Um, you assume the vibration of you looking at your social media timeline and seeing resolutions, right? Seeing peace, seeing agreements and resonance between people, seeing inclusion, people coming together. I play with this all the time when I'm upset about current events. The way they affect me in my life, I start to assume a new reality for how it works for me. By covering my end of the energy I'm putting into the whole thing, then I can create global shifts just by cleaning up my side of the street, right? And so um, I had a few coaches a few years ago. So I think it was 2015, I believe. They wanted to end the drought in California. So what they did was they traveled to a rainforest where it was raining nonstop for days. And they got into the assumption that this rain was also coming down in California. And literally what followed was that Los Angeles, San Diego, and a dozen other California cities set all-time rainfall records for the month of July due to an unprecedented midsummer rainfall that was considered historic. There were even flood warnings. So by really assuming the new reality and just not even wavering, it's here now. Um, they were able to create with assumption what nobody could have ever created by force, right? So think about how powerful this is. You can create anything with the law of assumption. The biggest shifts of your life will come through this universal law. It can be used to manifest everything from getting a free coffee to receiving affection, to getting successful in your business. Oftentimes, sometimes this is a little, annoying of me, but so many people, friends or family members, they'll complain about their husbands not giving them affection. And I always say, if he were to show up giving you affection, would you even be able to receive it? Like, would you even know what to do with yourself? Would you even know how to react? And every single time they're always like, no, I would freak out. I wouldn't even recognize my life. Right. So you want to go into that assumption for yourself so that you can not only be comfortable when it comes, but just so that you're already in reaction to that reality. So that way, when that affection comes, it's, yeah, of course, this has been happening for days, right? However long you've been in the assumption. And so, you know, you're going to use this in every area of your life. Think about your business. You're going to pull in way more clients through the law of assumption than by trying to force people to work with you. And a lot of people are learning that the hard way, right? Some of the tactics of force used to work. As we ascend into a higher state of consciousness and a higher state of awareness on this planet, people have to drop that and just kind of move into assumption. It's the most powerful tool you can use to create your reality. Back when I was creating High Watt Business School, the law of assumption is what led me to creating a meditation for myself, where I would go into meditation and I would assume the reality where my clients, like the participants in High Watt Business School, where they already got the results, right? I would start just going into the reality where they already got the results. They were telling me how amazing the course was. They were telling me what the results were. I even had a couple people in mind who were telling me, I can't believe I just signed my first client. I never thought this would come through. I was allowing myself to hear the compliments from them that I wanted to be hearing. And I made this meditation for myself to listen to when I was creating that course. And what I found was, by assuming the reality of my clients having success and loving the program, I was able to act and think and create my content and make decisions from this energy under the assumption of their great results already being here, right? Because if I'm in the energy of their great results already being here, you know, then I intuitively I already know what I did to get there. And it didn't just help me create the content that would get those results. It made me a vibrational match for the right clients, the ones who would do the work and get the results. So I lived into my assumption of this reality. And I still use this meditation when I create courses. If you guys ever want to listen to it, it's available in the High Watt Business School course. And I also added it as a bonus to the Financial Intuition course. But the important thing to remember about the law of assumption is that you can always achieve any aim you set for yourself, so long as you assume and maintain the feeling of your aim. And the other important thing is that you can win by assumption what you can never win by force. And the other important thing is you have infinite free will in choosing your assumptions, but no power to determine the conditions and events. So, if you take anything from this, I want those to kind of be your bullet points for today. The law of assumption is going to kind of help you overcome any kind of creative blocks, because when you've assumed the reality of your aim and you're already living in that reality, like I said, you already intuitively know what you did to get there. And so you just kind of act from that energy. All right. So in this lesson, you guys have been aligning your energy with this universal law. And right now, what I would love to have each of you do is think of something that you would like to see happen in your life. So we've learned about the universal law of assumption. Now I'm going to have you practice with it. So I want you to think of one thing, something you would like to see happen in your life. So maybe you want to meet a partner, or maybe you want to get married, pull in a new client, make a certain amount of money this month or this year. Maybe you want to go on vacation, experience your spouse differently, have the experience of being nurtured or desired. And I'm curious, if you guys are here live, I would love to have you write something into me. I'd love to hold it with you. maybe share with me an intention or an aim or a goal that you're going to be kind of working with so that I can hold that intention with you. I can create my reality where I see the version of you who has this. Okay, so we got new home. Ooh, to be offered the job I'm interviewing for tomorrow. Perfect. That's a perfect timing on this one. House, have another 8,000 a month. Okay, a healed version of my partner, a healed version of my significant other or my friend or my family member, having my first 50K month in my business, 25K month, new home renovation, soft and affectionate and attentive spouse or partner. Awesome. Okay, so what I want you to do, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, we're just going to release, delete, and uncreate everything you've ever known to be true in your life around this story, around this area. So feel all of the cords to all the times you told yourself this can't happen, or all the times you lived in a reality or collected evidence that this isn't possible for you. Just feel these releasing one by one by one. Remember, a lifetime of feedback can just be released. You can start fresh and assume a new reality. So we're deleting a lifetime of feedback about what's possible. It is not evidence of what you can create moving forward. In fact, every single moment of your life, you get to start fresh. The only thing keeping you in the past is just your repetitive mind, the assumption of the old reality. All right, so we're going to release your insistence that you can't have this. And as all of this releases, just go ahead and feel into your body, feel anywhere that it feels heavy. If there's a big cord, maybe. Notice if anywhere in your body, if you're intuitively guided to a heavy spot in your body, or if your awareness is being drawn to a spot in your body, go ahead and bring a ball of light there. And just go ahead and cut the cord to any large cords or any large energies you stored here that continue to keep you in the old reality. We're just going to release, uncreate, and transmute that. And as that continues to release, you're also going to now tap into the fact that in every single second, you have a completely fresh start. In every single second, what if the past meant nothing? What if old realities meant nothing? What if none of it was evidence for what you can create moving forward? So go ahead now, and this is all still going to be clearing, but allow yourself to feel into all the empty space in your body and your mind. Feel the fresh start, and go ahead and dive fully into the assumption of your aim. I want you to feel how it just happened. It just arrived. It's here. It's now. Just let yourself visualize and see what you're looking at as this reality is here. When you're in this reality, what kind of visual feedback are you getting that this reality is here? What do you see? Let yourself see what's around you. So those of you, new home renovation, let yourself see the renovated home. If you are pulling in more money, let yourself see check your bank account. You know what your online account looks like, or you might see a notification on your phone. What are you seeing when this reality is here now? What are the visuals? And now let yourself think the thoughts you're having as you observe this reality around you. What feels true here? What are you thinking to yourself? Okay, these are your affirmations. These are your new affirmations. So when you think these to yourself, you're affirming their existence. So when you make affirmations after having assumed the reality, this is what grounds the reality in and affirms it for you. I'm kind of nosy. Just write these into me. What are some of the affirmations? What are the thoughts you're having as this reality is here now? I'm still kind of reading you. I love your guys' assumptions. I love the new assumptions. Oh, I'm so excited all of you guys are here. Thank you so much for coming. What is true here? This feels so good and easy. Good. I love that. This feels so good and easy. That's a great thing to affirm. So what are you thinking? Like, I love this. This is easy. Oh, this is so fun. This feels so good. He is so loving, or the energy is so good in this space, or oh, that making that money was so easy. What are the thoughts? So that money flows freely into my account. So what you're going to do is, that's a belief. You're going to go into I'm so excited that money is flowing freely in my account right now, right? You're going to make it present. You're assuming this reality now. I'm so lucky, right? Some of you, if you aren't having positive thoughts, then you need to clear those, right? But this is where you create the new reality when you paste the new vibration in. And I understand that sometimes you're going to create an inhospitable environment for that if your junk's coming up. But when that comes up, you want to clear all that. So my life feels so good here. I'm nourished and my house is beautiful. Life is amazing. I'm glowing. It's easy to magnetize my desires. So again, like, that's a belief. What you want to do is like, I just magnetized my desire. I just magnetized this. Like, this was so easy. I feel so loved and supported. Good. This is the way it is now. Of course this happened. I love to see us all like this. Good. I'm confident with my new love. We're dancing, taking him in. Good. I have exactly what it takes. The future of new beginning is here right now. So the future of new beginning is here now. So what are you thinking to yourself when it's here now, right? Are you thinking, I love this. This is so exciting. I love being here, right? So I feel so yummy. These are all really, really good. All right. So, like I said, these are your new affirmations. When you make affirmations after having assumed the reality, this is what grounds the reality in. And now, most importantly, let yourself feel the feeling of this new reality. Allow yourself to move into the emotion of the new reality. Right. And again, you can do this even if you have doubts coming up. You can still move into the assumption, even the doubt, they can all coexist and the doubts can lose their charge. They can be played on a lower volume. You can just turn up the volume on the new reality, on the assumed reality. So this is your new permanent feeling. This isn't just an isolated moment. So allow yourself to hold the intention that this feeling and these thoughts are with you all the time, because this is your reality. This is what is, right? Just again, this isn't an isolated moment. So as you're in your car today, driving to your next destination, this assumed reality is already here. As you're having dinner, the assumed reality is already in place. As you lay in bed tonight, you're in the assumption of this reality still, right? And all day tomorrow and the next day and the next day, you make the conscious effort to be in this assumption until the universe can no longer tell the difference between this reality simply being your thoughts and this reality actually being here. The universe is responding to what you think is happening. So right now, you make a commitment to yourself to assume this reality, to be unwavering in your assumption, no matter what you see happening in your 3D world. Again, I almost feel like I want to just like zoom in. The 3D world is just showing you what yesterday's assumptions, right? It's just showing you what yesterday's assumptions were. That's all the 3D world is showing you, right? It's your consistent buying into them that kept them going. Done, gone. Assumption of a new reality, right? If you choose to, you can do what I do. When I'm in my assumption, I just sit in the energy of the assumption. I sit in the reality already being here, and I just exhale and I repeat to myself, this is my life now. This is my life now. I can't imagine things any other way. Like, this is my new minimum standard. This is what my everyday life feels like. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, world. You know, I sometimes thank whoever like is in my world, like, because I live in a complete state of gratitude about the people I work with. Like, I love that I've set my life up to work with private clients, and every single one of them is somebody I'm excited to get on the phone with. It was not always that way. Right now, it's just like something I thank them all the time. I'm just like, oh, I love you so much. I love working with you and doing this work that is so much fun for both of us. Like, I couldn't imagine working with anyone else, right? So let this assumption move through every cell in your body. And if you'd like, you don't have to do this, but if you'd like, go ahead and take a deep breath into your body and expand on your exhale. Just go ahead and expand your assumption outward. Expand the energy of your assumption out past the room you're in, out past the town you're in, farther if you'd like, and just start to notice the entire world shifting to accommodate the truth of this assumption. No matter what, this assumption is your reality. So any kind of things out there that need to change and shift, they do. And you're going to be shocked at some of the magic that comes through. You're going to be shocked absolutely shocked at some of the miracles you create just by being in assumption. And I could make a laundry list of all the examples I could share from my own life for others, but we don't have time. So um, again, just notice the entire world. You're just in your assumption. You are just in this reality, right? And so take one more deep breath in and release. All right. This is your new assumed reality. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on the law of assumption. If you want to learn more universal laws, you can go to highwattliving.com/law school, where you are going to have 8 power-packed lessons filled with, I believe it's 16 or 17 universal laws. The law of assumption is definitely one of the more important laws, but there are more great universal laws in that course waiting for you if you want to learn those and just align your energy, align your vibration with the way the universe is naturally working. Also, I will be teaching a second round, a 2L law school course, if you will, in the next year. So if you want to catch up on the first round of Universal Law School, definitely check those lessons out.